live here in just a second. Hey, this is Rod Pusey at the Road FS Detail Memoirs booth here at Mobile Tech Expo 2023.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, and I got Brad Norby with me, and Brad is on the IDA's Marcom committee because you are like a social media god.
Oh,
so
thank
let's
you for
talk
that.
about your business to start with. You're out of Florida, but originally you're from the other side of the world in California. So tell us like your story of how you got from where you were to where you are.
Yeah, I can't complain, coast to coast, California to Florida. I'm definitely happy to be in Tampa, especially with the opportunity of shows like this. It just so happens MTE is landing here in Orlando, which just helps me out a whole lot.
Right.
But yeah, started detailing out of high school, kind of some grassroots stuff, and then took that to where we're at today via social media, sharing your work as much as possible. Just overall trying to provide as much value as I can and help everyone out.
So one of the things we were talking about off air was the fact that social media is so prevalent now. And I think part of it is trying to get the understanding out there to people of how important it is to have a presence, but not to, there's a fine line between doing social media for detailers and doing social media about detailing. So you do a really good job of that. So how do you see the difference between doing it for detailers versus about detailing?
I think it just comes down to self-awareness and what you're doing it for, selflessly or selfishly. I think those are two great things to focus on. I also want to do something selfishly. I like to share my work. I like to look back at what I've done. I like to see the progression I've made over the time. That's all great and good, but the real work starts when you post the content. To me, it's about engagement. It's about providing as much value as possible. So, it's all great to post a Ferrari 458 on your Instagram. We all love to see it. But if you can make the context valuable for everyone else aside from yourself, it's very beneficial, and that's when you're going to see the most growth.
Yeah, and I think the idea of it is that people need to realize that it's a great way to promote your work to potential customers, as well as obviously we all have a little bit of an ego. You want the industry to see it and everything, but each job can promote another job, and it's not about pounding yourself on the chest. It's about connecting with the client in a way that they see, whether it's a scratch or whether it's a full correction or whatever. So let's talk about what it is you provide, your services you provide in your own business.
Yeah, real quick to touch on that note is like you'll be shocked at how many people we've all been as a mobile detailer. We've all had someone come up to us while we're working. Hey, can I get your business card real fast?
Yeah.
We got soap on the car. We got to work quick. We don't want to take away from the job. So having a social media presence or a website or these things are very valuable in the sense of that quick communication with that potential new client. Hey, here's my services. Let me point you to my social media if you would like to check out some of the work. And that's where a lot of that trust is built. The job's almost even sold at that point. If you can point to your work, they can now go research the quality on their own time versus you having to sit there and convince. I'm not necessarily in the game of convincing anybody to work for.
Yeah, and I think that part of that is that it sells itself when they can see two things I like to say about social media. One is it sells itself, and the other one is this is your opportunity to absolutely stay positive and professional all the time. You are selling yourself. And so if you're out on social media and you're doing things that are not selling yourself or your business, then you're detracting. So you're either doing one or the other. You're either selling yourself and your business, and it's a positive thing, or you are detracting. And you have to choose every single time you post what you're trying to do. Yeah. So let's talk about let's pretend we're throwing together a post, right? You and I are doing a car, and it's black Audi R8, really nice car. So the highlights, I'm gonna have my idea stuff. So number one, what would you post on that car? Let's say it started out with a bunch of swell marks, typical car wash victim. What are you going to post?
Before and afters are right where my mind goes. Before and afters are great. We all know how nice it is to look at that and the results that we can get. It's the context to that post that's very valuable. It's like, what are we going to say? Hey, here's the results of all my hard work. That's that ego boosting stuff.
Yep.
Versus you could use that same post and now use the context, the text form of it to showcase what products you use to achieve those results. The best methods to do it if you're in direct sunlight via mobile detailing. That stuff's gonna trickle down and help many other people in the industry. 20 plus other people are going to read that context, and not only are going to find benefit or value from that post, but possibly engage with you. And that's what it's all about to me. They might send you a DM, they might comment on your post, and then that's just going to build, create brand, create growth, create awareness. And now all of a sudden you're the person providing value and trying to help out. It's who I wish I had, not to say I don't have any, but I wish there were more of it when I was coming up in the detail industry 5, 6, 7 years ago, trying to get started on social media. No one wanted to share their secrets. It was kind of like, keep your mouth shut because I'm better than you. Let me sign a non-competitive agreement with these people. I feel like that's playing defense. I like the offense kind of stuff.
And the thing is that I would absolutely do the same thing. And what I would mirror with that is you're taking the opportunity to, one, solidify your partnerships with your vendors. Hey, look, this is the pad and polish and machine that I'm using.
Yeah.
And then secondarily, we can help you to make your car look better. Some people don't even know that swirl marks are not just a sign of washing a car. And so now you're showing them, you're saying, hey, look, this is not right. We can help you with that. And we're not afraid to tackle a black car. I chose that one specifically for the example because everybody tends to shy away from black cars. Oh, they're a problem child. Well, they're just paint. They're no different than anything else. You just have to work them a little more because they do show more. But it kind of showcases both your talents, the products. It does give that it's no longer a secret what we're doing.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing, and we're going to show it. Hey, through 3 steps with this car, or a single stage, or I would post something like, I did a test spot here to fix this, and I was able to do it with a less intrusive. I didn't have to use a wool pad. I used a foam pad. You might be speaking over the heads of a client, but they're going to go, wow, I didn't even know that they did that. I didn't know they used a test spot. I didn't know that they tried something out before they went full-blown, most harsh thing in the world. So I like that attitude, and I like the fact that it's not ego-driven. You're showing a car. You may not even show till the 3rd or 4th picture that it's an Audi R8. It's just that it's a fender. Yeah. It's a door. It's a mirror or something. And I like those kind of posts. The other thing that you're really good at is doing a little bit, kind of the showcasing some of the advantages of knowing social media.
The methods.
Yeah.
What it all takes.
That's where,
everyone.
yeah. And then you highlight, I'm a certified detailer. I'm trained in this. Give yourself a little bit of accolades for doing the job and going above and beyond, which helps sell yourself anyway. So that is, social media 101. You're going to be positive. You're not going to get engaged in all the slamming and shaming and everything. Market to your customers and your vendors, and be a good partner to everybody.
Yeah, and some clients or potential clients don't necessarily know what they're looking for. They just want a perfect finish, but when you showcase your work via these methods and stuff like that, they see your social posts. They might find you on Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Again, need to be a practitioner of all aspects. Even if you have 1 like on that post, that one person you need to care about as if it's 8,000 likes on that post. Yeah. So you really need to.
And it can be different in different things. You can take the same post. Jody and I have an example of a post where we posted it on Instagram and everything, and it was okay. And we posted it on other sites and it did well. And then we posted it on YouTube and it did phenomenal. Each one of the social media channels, whether you're talking YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, any of them, even LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good place to go.
Huge
for some
opportunity.
Of the, it's more of a business site, so you need to change your context a little bit. But it's a great way to get business. Look into all of them, and then contact somebody that don't reinvent the wheel. Learn how to do it from somebody else.
Yeah, and I'm happy you touched on that just real quick on that subject. Is each platform, myself included. You make a post on Instagram, you make a video on TikTok, you might post that to Instagram and post the same video to YouTube Shorts and post the same. And I understand that's sharing the work. I do it still till this day. But to understand the mindset of the consumer on each platform, it's different. When you're on LinkedIn, you want to think business related, or you want to reach out to brands. It's a different mentality that the consumer has on each platform. Instagram can be a little inspirational or educational versus YouTube can be educational. One can be entertainment or escapism, like TikTok tends to be that way. Yeah. So you really got to pay. That's why a lot of this, the TikTok content of mine is short, quick snippets. It's entertainment, but it's also educational if you're a detailer. But for the consumer, it's entertainment. Hey, here's a car getting washed. But if you're a detailer watching that, it's like, oh, so he did the brush with the this, and then the APC, and then you get to see kind of some methods.
Yeah, and then what I like to do is, for instance, if I have a full YouTube, let's say we take this podcast and we do a YouTube, we'll cut out shorts, pull out little clips of about 30 seconds to get people enticed to go in and look at some of the other ones. So that is a great way to do it. You can break your content up, and it is time consuming. People say, well, I don't have the time. I'll tell you what, you have to make the time to do it, but set aside a day to do editing, set aside a day to do different things. And you just have to remind yourself, like we do our podcast every week at the same time on the same day. Now we record ones.
Consistency.
It's consistency and make sure that you are, you can always change, but change and give it some time. And if it's not making an impact, do something different. Don't be afraid to change. If it change, we've changed the logo of this podcast 3 times. It hasn't affected it in a negative way.
To be able to do that is huge because you never know what's going to work, what's not going to work. Being able to try new methods is very important. So I believe in that the most, and not judging yourself along the way.
Yeah, you got to be easy on yourself, because you can judge yourself too harshly. And you're like, oh my gosh, I put up that post and it didn't do anything. Nobody watched it. I didn't get any likes. But it's not about that. It's about what does it draw down the road. And the things that you're doing today are going to drive business to you 2-3 years down the road. I'll give a perfect example is the minute the doors opened today, I had a gal walk up, and she actually she listens to our podcast, she watches it on YouTube, and she talked to us a year ago at Tech Expo, and she said, I'm finally ready.
Oh, I love that.
You don't worry about today. It's about what is going to happen the next 2 to 3 years. Set goals. I know a lot of people in social media stuff and in business, we might set goals that are not realistic, that are not achievable. I'm going to get $10 million in the next 2 years. No, you're not. Set a reasonable goal. Say, I want to increase by 25% this year. And then you have to have, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, your actions have to match your ambitions. You know, what are you looking to achieve? And then are you doing everything necessary to achieve those goals?
Yeah.
You know?
So how often do you check in with yourself on those goals that you set?
A constant basis. You know, I'm my
trick
harshest,
question.
I'm my biggest critic for sure, but at the same time, that aspect of judgment is still at play. I definitely don't judge myself. I have in the past. And I've gotten into some places where all of a sudden you're not producing. You're on a stagnant plane, and that's never beneficial for you or the end consumer or anyone else. So
it's interesting. I actually heard some stuff the other day. I was watching a thing on, it was actually Pitbull of all things, and he was saying there's no failure, there's only opportunity. 100%. Yeah, and it literally, you have to stop beating yourself up. You can have a horrible month. And I'll look at Jody and I'll say, wow, I'm glad that's out of the way. And you have to find a way to make it positive. You know, take a failure as a learning, you know, and take a missed opportunity as an opportunity to go find another one. And you know, you got to be in it for the long game. A lot of people I know are trying to jump in and jump out and be a millionaire in 2 years, and that's few and far between. So
there's no shortcut, right? There's no shortcut.
Exactly.
You got to be patient.
You got to put in the work.
Consistency. You got to try to build legacy. You know, versus what are you going to leave behind? What's the message you're trying to portray? Or are you? I talk about it often, and it's like if you're in it for the quick buck or the quick cash, just like a mobile detailing setup. If you're doing this for the money, it's probably not going to pan out in the long run. You'll burn out. You'll come across these things like burnout, and you'll be less driven to achieve those long-term goals. Success. So.
And I think that's the key, is that there's so many people, Randy Doyle touched on it yesterday, there's so many people that believe that I just have to work harder at it. And a couple of years ago, it really was, the mentality was, I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because my competition's getting up at 6. I have to work 7 days a week because, you know, they're only working 5. And you can only work so much. And if you can't make it work, I used to, years and years ago, I managed a global team of people at a semiconductor manufacturing company. And I got into an argument with one of the VPs of the company, and she said, you're rewarding this guy, but he only puts in 40 hours a week. I got a guy over here that works 60 hours a week. He's the one that should be getting rewarded. And I said, no, I'd rather reward the guy that can do it in 40 hours than the guy that takes 20 extra hours.
The efficiency.
You've got to be more efficient, right? Yeah. So let's tell people where you're at, where you're located, how they can get a hold of you, your TikTok and all the social media stuff.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm Brad Norby with Perfect Detail USA. I'm located out of West Chase in Tampa, Florida. You can reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Perfect Detail USA. If you want to just send me over a message, I'd be more than willing to help out. Yeah, and we could just go from there. But feel free to reach out. I would love to help out if you have any questions regarding your business, EQ, anything of that nature.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys. We're here all weekend at Mobile Tech 2023. Thanks.